Right, so as per usual, we're going to be starting off with the armature, and as you can see, I'm just trying to get the wire and find the general shape before cutting off what I'm going to be needing. I always cut a little bit more wire than what I actually need, and I can cut it down later on. But as you can see, I'm just getting all the lengths that I'm going to be roughly using before getting some tin foil out, and we're just going to generally build up the main shape of the character that we're building today. So as you can see, I'm just adding bits of tin foil on. I'll add a few more bits on to get this general shape before I can start working out where the legs are going to go. Now this is a crocodile, and I had originally planned for him to be more of a character, but halfway through making it I decided to actually go with a generic animal rather than a character. May go around and do it again and do a character at some later stage. Let me know if you'd like to see that in the future. But as I was saying earlier, just cutting down bits of wire before we move on to I believe I was using Super Sculpting here just to bulk out his body first of all, as I usually do. Sorry guys, it's been a bit of a while since I got the last video up and even made the video. I've been very busy, been on holiday, etc, etc. But yeah, as you can see, we're just getting that general shape. He's all coming together now. We smush all it in. I know it looks a little bit messy at the moment, but as you'll see in a bit, it will come together. Just working it all in so we can get his first bake done. As you can see there, he's starting to look good. He's all baked. Right, next up we are going to be using a little bit of the liquid clay just to put over the hardened body, and this is just going to help the next layer of clay adhere. Going to brush all that in, as you can see, adding more where we need it before moving on to cos clay, and that's the one that I'm using. Now we've put it through the pasta machine to get it nice and flat like that. And now we're just going to go over what we've already done and just start bulking out the body a little bit more. Carefully finding where it wants to go, cutting out for around the arms, and then we're just going to smooth all that in. Just taking off bits and pieces where we need to, adding more on where we need to. And as you can see, the general shape is starting to come together. Now, I know crocodiles don't usually stand up like this, but you'll see where I'm going with this later on. That's if you stick around, of course. So now we're just going to start bulking out the legs a bit. We just add on more and more bits as we need to, but at the moment we're just generally finding that shape. There we go, bulking out around where the leg joins the body. And doing the other side. Smoothing it all in as we go before adding some toes, or his foot shall we say. But yeah, with the same process, just smushing it all in, finding the general shape, using various tools. Sorry if you can hear the dog walking about in the background, but that's the joy of having two dogs running about on a laminate floor. Just getting some wrinkles in where we need around all the joints of his feet to his leg, taking off any excess, and then we can start refining and shaping. There we go, again using various different tools just to achieve this. There you go, starting to come together. Finding where his toes are going to go, and we are going to add some claws. Just poking out where the claws are going to go. And as you can see there, I've pre-baked some little claws that I've made up, put them in the oven for a couple of minutes just to harden them up a little bit. And then we're just going to add some liquid clay and then plonk them in place. I'm going to brush off any excess of the liquid clay before moving on to the next one. And the next one. And the next one. There we go. Using the tweezers just to get them and just fine tune them a little bit. Now we're going to be moving on to the upper arms or the front legs, which way you want to look at it. And we're just following exactly the same process, just building up bit by bit until we get the actual shape that we want. Before moving on to the head. Now, as I said earlier, I actually forgot to press record on a couple of sections of this, and the head being one of them. Like an idiot. But I've generally made the actual shape up of that, stuck it in place, and I actually used a couple of toothpicks just to run down the actual main part of the mouth, just to give it a little bit more rigidity. But as you can see, we're working on the nose there. Again, just following that same process of using different tools just to smush it all in and to find that general shape that we're looking for. Now we're just going to bore out the nostrils with one of the little ball styluses that we've got. Opening them up as much as we need to before adding a tongue, and then the long process of getting all them teeth in. As you can see, I've already bored out where the teeth are going to go, and I'm going to follow that same process of what I've done earlier with the claws. But for now, we're going to move on to where the eyes are going to be, just building up the sections on the head, smushing it all in and just getting that general shape as per usual. Again, using a silicone tool just to smush everything in, just to shape it how we need, before adding some extra bits underneath his neck to get the rolls. If you ever look at a crocodile, they are quite bulky around the throat area, so just adding in more and more bits of clay just to build it up and get that general shape as usual. And again, moving on to tools just to smush it all in and to blend everything together. Moving on to another silicone tool. Right, now we've got the rest of the head all finished, we can move on to the teeth. Didn't want to put the teeth in too early because didn't want to knock them about and knock any out, shall we say. But yep, bit of a monotonous task this, but we pre-baked all the teeth as we did with the claws. We're using liquid clay again in the actual sockets and then putting the actual teeth in with a pair of tweezers. Right, now I've made this little tool up just to get the texture on his body. That's been hardened in an oven, and we're just going to roll it over the top part of his body, all the way over, and as you can see we're getting that nice lumpy, bumpy sort of skin texture that a crocodile has. Getting in all the little nooks and crannies before moving on to his back. Now what we've done is just made some scores going down the actual length of the body of where his spines are going to go. You ever look at a croc's back, he's got a series of spines that are coming out. Again, pre-baked in the oven. Lots and lots and lots. Now as you can guess, this is very monotonous. And we're just going to squish them into place. I haven't pre-bored the holes, I'm just literally pushing them into his back, and then we're going to add a little bit of liquid clay over the top of them later and then just brush it in. Yeah, this took quite a while to achieve that bit, but once that's done we can move on to the base. Now for the base, all I've done is I've got some aluminium foil, tin foil, whichever way you want to look at it or call it, and I've scrunched it up and I'm just building up a general area. Now once I've sussed out how much of the tin foil I'm going to be needing, I've just got some liquid clay and I'm just going to put that all onto the wood, just to help the clay that I'm going to surround it all in, just help adhere it to it. And as you can see, I'm just going to slowly build it up. Now I've used Super Sculpey for this. I get a £2 block for the same price as I'd get a £1 block of cos clay, so hence why I use a Super Sculpey for that. Now I've used a block of wood just to build a bit more of an upstand at one end, and again I'm just following that same process until it looks like this. Now before it goes in the oven, I'm just going to make some rock texture by using a rock. Whoever would have thought it'd be that easy. And here we go, just pushing it all the way in, all the way around until we get that nice generic rock look. Then once that's done, we can get it in the oven and start painting our actual crocodile. Now what I've done with the paintwork is I've just gone over with a very light green, and then I've started building up to a darker green on the outside, making it lighter at the bottom, darker at the top. We've worked onto the teeth, the eyes, before we move on to the base. Now as you can see, I've just given it a normal grey, and I've built up the grey from a dark up to a slightly lighter before using a dry brush of white, just to get the shadows and everything else in place. Right, now I've made this concoction up just to get the bottom of it all, well, the swamp, shall we say, all finished. Now before I go any further, I've just got to say that again, I forgot to hit record, and I did actually put a layer of UV resin over the top of all of this once I finished, but as you can see I'm using some fake moss and getting all that in place first of all before I do that. There we go. How's that looking? And there he is. It's looking completed now. Don't forget guys, hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one.